All right, so in this video, I'm going to talk about estimating errors that cost big dollars. And this is really when it comes to production versus non-production time that's spent on the job. So we got a little calendar here, and let's say we're going to bid a job. And just for the sake of this demonstration, let's say the job we're doing, we estimate it to be 40 hours. And just again, to make this simple, it's one person times 40 hours to complete this job. So we schedule this employee or ourselves, if we're a one-man show, we schedule this job. We think it's going to take 40 hours. But here's the reality of it. When you go to the job, and let's just say, for example, we're going to start at 7 a.m. We get there at 7, but like the first hour or so, 30 minutes to an hour, it's actually setup time. Like we're setting up tools. We don't show up at 7 and then instantly start hammering stuff or working. We've already lost an hour of our 40 hours. We haven't even started yet. And then you go out to the day, so the rest of the day you're working, and then at noon, right about here, the homeowner comes home to check on you. So now you end up spending 30 minutes in a conversation talking to the homeowner. So now we're an hour and a half behind of our day. Then you go out throughout the day, and you get to, whatever quitting time is for you, whether you take lunch or whatever. And let's say you want to quit at 4 o'clock or 3:30, whatever time, you're going to work 8 hours. Now you have a choice. In order to stay on task, you're already an hour and a half behind. You now have to work an hour and a half more than 8 hours in order to stay on task. Well, some of you will do that, that's fine. But then you still got teardown at the end of the day. And let's say teardown goes a little bit quicker because you're not putting everything back up. So that's only 30 minutes. So now you got teardown. So now on the very first day of this project that you're just going to do awesome on, you are 2 hours behind schedule. And you haven't even made it through the first day. That's the non-productive time. The non-productive time is the time for setup, teardown, talking to the customer, dealing with the vendor. Why isn't my material supposed to be delivered at 9? Why aren't they here? I'm on the call, waiting on hold. All of the crap you have to go through. And then you have to decide if you're going to work long. So if you work an extra 2 hours, you make up that time, great. But now you just put in a 10-hour workday on the tools. Then you got to do estimates, call people back. Well, you may have a 16-hour workday, right? That's day one. Day two, you've already set up, so maybe the majority of stuff set up, so it's only 30 minutes, or maybe it's 20 minutes, but you still lost some productivity time there. The customer is home, and they want to ask you some questions about what you did on day one. And so you spend another 10, 15 minutes talking to them and set up. So now it's 30 to 45 minutes to get started. You get into it, right about this time, you run into an issue, 15 minutes on the phone trying to sort it out, figure it out. Another thing, customer comes home at lunch again, that's another 30 minutes. You come here, maybe you got another issue, it's 10 minutes. You get to the end of the day, tear down, 30 minutes, another problem. You've lost 1 to 3 hours potentially on this. So let's just say you don't work over. On day one, we're at minus 2 hours. On day two, we're at 1.5 of lost production time. And so Wednesday, let's say it goes perfect. You work a little hour over and you end up with a 0. Great, everything went great. Thursday, maybe you have another great day. That's perfect. Friday is the finish day. Friday is we're going to get this job done. Even if I got to work 16 hours, I got to get it done. So you start the project, but guess what? Friday morning, the customer comes in and says, hey, we got some issues here. We don't like the way this was done on Wednesday, and we need to redo something. Well, that sucks. That sets us back an hour, plus setup time. That's an hour and a half. We're trying to get it done. Customer comes home at lunch again to check on you. You end up spending 30, 45 minutes reassuring them that it's going to be all done, look good when you're done. And then you get down here and it's the end of the day and now you're worn out because you've been working so much and you start making a few mistakes and stuff. You come down here, let's just say it end up costing you an hour and a half with repairs and stuff. Where are we at with our 40-hour work week? 2 plus 1 plus 5, that's so 5 hours. We're at a negative 5 hours. We still have 5 hours left to finish this job. So where are we going to make it up at? Do we have to come in on Saturday now and work for 5 hours? Well, that sucks because we had plans with our family on Saturday. Well, maybe I'll just push it off till Monday the next week. Here's Monday the following week, and I'm going to come in and work for 5 hours and make it up, which is great. But then supposed to start another job on Monday, on the following Monday, so then we'll have to push them off because really it's demo and we can't really get started. So we really can't start that job on Monday. We push them back, and so we end up just losing 3 hours of productivity time on any job, and we use that to catch up on estimates, call people back, clean out the van from the job, blah, blah, blah. And so what happened here on this job, right? This 40 hours of work actually cost us, because of this, it cost us 48 hours, right? Because we lost a whole day on Monday to come back. So now you add in overhead per day. So if you have, let's just say your overhead per day is $300, well, what does it cost you just for that extra day? Right off the bat, because you worked an extra day, you lost $300 in overhead because you're not getting paid extra for this time that you spend. So what happens a lot is we don't factor in the non-production time. We look at it for how long is it going to take to swing the hammer, and we don't add in any supervision. We don't add in getting materials, because I didn't put in over here like, oh, this Thursday that we thought was great. Actually, there's a 1 hour period here where we had to go back to the store and get different materials because they sent us the wrong materials, So now it's 6 hours, and like it can go on forever. So what happens is you're basing your work week off a complete 100% of production time, and you're not adding any non-production time into your schedule, into the job. This is a realistic job on a 1 week. It's very realistic to get 5 hours behind on non-production time. And so now you either have to work 12-hour days to keep up, right? Or you go into the next week. Now, what if this is a 3-week project? What if it's a 3-month project? Take that times that period, and that's how much money in time, non-productive time, that you're losing. So this right here is the single biggest thing that when you're estimating that costs you big money because you're not factoring in non-production time. So right off the bat, whatever it is, the total time it takes, you should add a minimum of 20% on top of that just to help cover non-production time. Now, as you're doing jobs, you should be tracking this. You should be knowing on Monday, I spent 2 hours here, and on Tuesday, I spent an extra hour and a half, and on Friday, I spent an extra hour and a half. You should be tracking this, and then on the next job you do, you factor that in. You can start to come up with averages based on more jobs you do. You'll start having a history of saying, on average, we spend 5 hours per 40 hours of production time, and so we just automatically factor that in. Or it's 10 hours per 40 hours, whatever that is for you, and now you just factor that in or bake it into your total production time when you're estimating. Also, just another way of looking at it is not how many hours it's going to take you, but how many days, because 40 hours of man hours may not end up being 5 days of work. So it's possible that if you only work half days each day, and that's it, for whatever reason, I don't know why, but if you only work 4 hours each day, now it's going to take you 2 weeks at $300 a day, and so now your overhead is going to eat into a lot of your profit because you've extended the amount of overhead days that it's taken you to do that job. So you got to take that into consideration as well. So when you're doing that, make sure you factor in non-production hours in your estimate.